Okay, so computers are absolute trollers. Look, 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 look. Cannot read properties of undefined. If you go to the marketplace, right? Look, campaign data is loaded. I know that by fact it's loaded, right? Because look, if we console log campaign database, it will display. If we remove this part here, okay, there's the database. Now, if we go campaign 0 dot project name, it will display it. There it is, right? Okay. And like for some reason, this does not work. I think it's something to do with use context, maybe, because server is running, right? But the interesting thing is if you do it in my test, it works in there. You see? Because in my test, I'm fetching from here, and I'm not using use context in here, right? So it also works in here because I'm not using use context, right? So if it works in here, yeah. So the problem is use context. Use context is a problem in here. Because you see, now it works. But if you just go directly like this, it doesn't work. You see? This is because use context is a separate component, right? And it's trying to update the state and then pass that state into this component. And this component, well, in theory, right? When you think about it, okay? Marketplace has loading. Loading is true, right? So when loading changes, oh, this component does not re-render. No, in theory it should. It should re-render. Now, if my theory is correct, right, we should do, if we do this, then it's going to work. Console log re-rendered, right? Because now we have, once loading changes, this component is going to re-render. So in theory, this should fix the problem, right? So let's just do this. Oh, use effect is not defined. Let's see. Use effect. Okay, so let's just restart. Honestly, I think it's a good idea to restart server when shit like that happens. Okay, let's see now. Does that work now? Yeah, I don't understand why it doesn't work. It's really stupid the way it doesn't work. Because look, when you think about it, right? When you think logically, right? Logically, campaign data. So use context always fires first, right? When use context is firing, loading data is true, which means it's displaying loading, please wait. When loading, please wait changes, this component re-renders and then campaign database becomes available. Okay. When that happens, you should be able to access project name or whatever. Let's just put 0. Okay. Let's just do that. This should work. There is no reason why it should not work. Okay. Now it's displaying everything. Now logically this works. Now let's try name of company, for example. Let's try to access this thing here. And I will put this. Name of company. I think it's like this, right? Let me just double check. One sec, I'm gonna log into my MongoDB. One second. Okay, so we're back. Now let's test to see if it works, right? Get 3000 internal server error. Yeah, I know why that problem happens. This is because well, if we put it in here, it's not gonna work because campaign database has not yet loaded because this fires instantly. Now, here is the weirdest shit ever. The weirdest shit ever. Okay, so this obviously does not work. All right, this obviously does not work. If we load it, it does not work. Okay, we can see it, right? Boom. Server error, right? Blah blah blah. Cannot perform React state on blah blah blah. Unmounted component, right? Now, are you ready? If we take and we simply map it, it works, right? It works like I tested it multiple times and it simply works, right? Boom. Look, you see, it works. And this is where I get exceptionally confused. Look, campaign database is 100% loaded. We know that for a fact, right? Because if it wasn't loaded, the map method would not work, right? But if you just simply query, you see this project name, right? From the database by using array like 0, right? Project name, this should display. They should display project name. Because what we're doing is we're simply querying the, but you see it works now, right? It works now. Now it doesn't work. Do you know what I'm saying? And I cannot understand what the hell is going on. I think it has something to do with the speed at which the data is being queried, because map method takes a bit of time before it can fire. Let's actually have both of them. What's gonna happen if we have both of them? Yeah, it doesn't work. I think because this is almost instant, right? Whereas map method takes split seconds, and because it takes split seconds, data has time to be delivered. I think that's the only explanation I can think of, right? Otherwise, like it's just that's. But then, like, why does that work with map and does not work with a simple query? Do you know what I mean? Each should have a unique value of key. Yeah, we need to have a key in here. Key equals value underscore ID, I think like this, right? They should fix this problem now. Yeah. Do you see? And I don't understand why the map method works while this simple query does not work. It's so strange. Anyway, so when this happens, right, my suggestion is do not use context, just directly fetch data inside of the component, right? And if you want to query this, right, try to do it through either a map or filter method, right? Because this will kind of delay it from being displayed, I suppose, and then hopefully it's going to work. But I mean, this is some weird ass shit, honestly. Absolutely weird. There's no reason for this not to work. I'm almost certain it has to do something with the async function, right? Because like this, the difference between this, right, like test, my single project component, and marketplace is the speed at which data arrives. Because in here we have use context, right, that fetches data, then changes the state, and then outputs the data. In here we have directly fetching. So basically we're not using use context, so this is faster. Now in here we can say, okay, why is map method working and direct query is not working? That's because, again, the speed at which the data is being delivered is the problem. That's my only assumption, right? That is my only assumption. So when you run into this problem, remove use context, right? And if you're querying single from the, like, let's say you have database of, let's say campaign database has 100, whatever, 100 entries, and you want to only query single one of them, right? Instead of just putting 0 in here like this, right? Put a filter method and let filter method filter through the database and then display it. Okay, so this way we're gonna mimic the map method, right? It's the same shit. Is for each does not work, right? Well, I kind of understand why for each does not work, right? But like again, if you replace map with for each, it doesn't work in React for some reason. I don't know why that is, but it just doesn't work. Do you see? Yoink, doesn't work. But if you replace it with map, it works, even though the logic is like identical. You see? Now it works. Some weird shit. Computers are trollers. Take care.